welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. I am back today with another video. So today I'm going to be actually doing a contrast and comparison of a book versus the movie or TV adaptation. So a few weeks back, I did a reaction video to the trailer for, maybe a month ago now, but for the trailer for the Perfect Find. And The Perfect Find is a book I read back in 2016 by Tia Williams. Okay, so I'll give you a quick premise for those of you who may not be familiar with the book or the movie. Okay, so the book, it is in the romance genre, more a contemporary fiction type romance. There is a woman by the name of Jenna, and if I recall in the book, maybe she was 40 or like, I don't know if she was in her early 40s or like about to turn 40, but she was in, in that 38 to 42 age range, right? And she had been like a powerhouse in the fashion industry, like a darling at all the fashion shows, like a behind the scenes type person, a creative, not like a model or a designer, but, like kind of like like Anna Wintour, she's the, editor-in-chief at Vogue, but she's also like the go-to person that people look at what she's saying and her opinions about things. Well, Jenna was kind of like that, right? But something happened, and like I said, I read the book in 2016, so I can't tell you exactly what happened, but something happened that she kind of got knocked off her pedestal, and she found herself basically starting over. So she needed a job. She wanted to get back into the industry after sitting out for, about a year or so, and she went to her, basically like her frenemy or her arch nemesis, a woman by the name of Darcy, who had kind of come up in the ranks with Jenna, but Jenna always seemed to best her, right? Well, fast forward all these years later, Darcy has her own thing going on. She has like a company, a magazine, and Jenna is having to go to her with her tail between her legs and like basically, ask for a job. So Darcy gives her a job, not without shading the hell out of her first and letting her know that you're under my thumb now. And in the book, Jenna has this idea where she does this series called The Perfect Find, hence the title of the book. Now, this part I do remember vividly. And she was finding the perfect pieces for different events or things like that, one-of-a-kind items and stuff like that. And it became like a series, like a online or YouTube type series. Well, the guy that was her videographer and filmed all these finds and these scenes and everything was a younger guy by the name of Eric. And again, if memory serves me correctly, he was in the 24 to 27-year-old range, okay? So we're looking at it, a good 12 to 15 year age difference between them, right? The funny thing that happens, let me back up, is that Jenna goes to a party with some of her friends or whatever, and she meets Eric at that time, and they kind of make out or whatever. But it's not until like he gets assigned the job of doing her videos that she realizes he's Darcy's son. Yeah. So talk about a slap to the face, cold water, dousing the heated situation. So they go through, this, we can't do this, we can't do this, let's do this, let's not do this whole thing. And they end up getting together, and obviously the generation gap and things like that come into play, and they stop, they go back and all this stuff. And then and hopefully you heeded the warning at the top of this video. It is right with spoilers, okay? But then towards the end of the book, Darcy like finds out and catches them like kind of in the act, so to speak, at her apartment, her penthouse of all places. And she goes in on Jenna and fires her, and basically says she's a cradle robber and all this stuff. And it drives a wedge between her and Eric because he doesn't really step up for her like she thought he should. Well, fast forward, Jenna finds out she's pregnant, right? And in the book, like, it was 4 years before Eric knew, like before he saw the kid or knew anything about it. Okay. So, and then they kind of like, he's sad because his dad died when he was younger and she had named the baby after his dad and he didn't want to be an absentee father and he still loved her. She still loved him and happily ever after happens. Right. Okay. So then you have the movie. Well, first of all, let me continue with the book for another second. I really enjoyed the book, right? The age gap difference aside. And the way that Tia Williams wrote the Eric character in the book, you forget at times that he's not like her age because he was extremely mature and they seemed to be a good match intellectually. And, of course, the romance themes were steamy and all of that. And it was only through dialogue or if Darcy came into play or, something like that, that you're like, oh, yeah, he is a bit younger than you, girl. But other than that, they seem like the perfect match and they had had really good chemistry and all of that stuff. So when they said that the book had been optioned to become a movie or a TV show or whatever, I was excited, because I was like, oh, that was a good, really good book. And because I'm like a Tia Williams stan, right? So then when they said who had gotten cast, I was like, I'd have to see it first before I, pass judgment, because Gabrielle Union plays the character of Jenna and Keith Powers plays the character of Eric. So, I'd seen little snippets, photos, and different things from production and all that stuff. And then last month, I got a chance to see the trailer. From the onset, when I saw them together on screen, it gave me pause. I was like, because they just weren't the people I was picturing in my mind to play to play the role. And I don't know. And I want to say, I cannot remember, again, it was 2016, but just looking at this picture, this woman here with all the curly hair, I feel like there was like references to Jenna's appearance, like of her having, like a bunch of curly hair or natural hair or something. So when you are kind of given like, baseline descriptions for a character, you automatically get something else in your head, right? And definitely for the character of Eric, I was thinking, like, you have some young guys in Hollywood that even though they're young, they have like a more mature look to them, like Kofi Sitabo, I think that's how you say his name. He's an example, and I don't know if he's 30 yet, but like there's something mature about him, so that if you saw him in a movie, like it would be real, it would be believable, and it would kind of like when you're reading make you forget about his age. While watching the movie, because I watched it this past weekend, Keith Powers, he's 30, but he has a very like young look. He has such a baby face. Like he looks like he could be like 21 or something. He has a very youthful appearance. And so does Gabrielle Union. I mean, she's going to be 51 this year. So there's actually like, I guess, a 20-year difference between them in real life. But even though she has a youthful appearance, I just did not buy them as a couple. I feel like they both gave good performances. They're very good actors, but I don't know. I got more of a not like a big sister type vibe from her. I won't debase it like that, but I feel like they had a friendship type chemistry, but I didn't buy it as a romantic type chemistry. And of course, because it's a Netflix movie and you got to get the run times down. There were some parts that were cut out. Of course, there's more descriptive things and more build up in the book. because the authors can kind of, take their time with that. And then in the editorial process, if pages get shaved off, that'll happen. But there's always more time to kind of build up things. And in the movie, if you hadn't read the book, like if I had never read the book and I just watched the movie, I would be like, oh, that was quick. That happened in the first 5 minutes. But it was, the production was good. Like I said in my review when I saw the trailer, I feel like the production, the direction, the colors, the costumes, the cast, I feel like all of that was on point. And, it wasn't giving so much Lifetime movie, but maybe an elevated version of it. And I don't know if it's because they kept it more of a like Hallmark romance type. That's the vibe that I got, and I was not getting that when I read the book. The other thing, like at the end, so in the book, I don't know if she told him about the baby early on, and maybe she did, and maybe he did decide, like, I don't want to deal with this, or do whatever you're going to do. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't remember that. But that's kind of like what happened in the movie. Like he didn't take the news so well. And then his mom came over to talk to Jenna. And then like in the next scene, she's at a hospital appointment to find out the baby's gender. And he shows up. And it's kind of like they're together from that point forward. And I think in the book, I preferred the separation because it was a 4-year separation almost. Right before he came back, because the little boy was like talking and walking at that point. I prefer that because it allowed him to mature. He was he was working at his mom's company. That's how he met Jenna. But he was like out there kind of on his own. He had left his mom's business and he was trying to get a film made. He had made some connections and he had just matured a lot more. And I think at that point maybe he was 30 or in his 30s or whatever. And it, to me, gave them an opportunity to really have a chance at being together because they had both kind of like, well, she obviously had been on her own a lot longer than him, but it gave him a chance to grow up so that it's not like she was having to almost be like a surrogate mom in a way, like helping him through stuff. He found his way on his own without his mom or without Jenna. And I appreciated that in the book. So, I mean, obviously, from what I'm saying, you can tell where I'm going with this. I enjoyed The Perfect Find book much more than I did the movie. People were talking like, you look at like little things and comments online, people were mostly critiquing Gabrielle's wig choices or whatever, but I mean, they weren't that much of a distraction for me as it was me trying to like really believe in this connection with them. And like I said, they had some witty banter and they were cute together on screen, but it was more like, I couldn't see it going beyond a flirtation. Like I couldn't see that really being a serious relationship. So it kind of dampened the movie for me because, casting is everything as to whether or not you end up believing that those characters are in fact like real, that like that suspension of belief, you look at, like I always think about like, cause my family, like we're big superhero movie fans, and like some of the Marvel casting, like as far as I was concerned, Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark were the same person. Like there was no like two separate entities. There wasn't an actor playing a role. He was Iron Man, because he embodied that with everything from the look, the attitude, the sound of his voice. And I think that when, you're adapting material that's already in print and already has like fans, it is a tough challenge to kind of bring that to the screen because expectations are all over the place. I know that was a big thing with the Twilight movies. A lot of people were like, Robert Pattinson is not going to be able to pull this off, but he surprised a lot of people because he had changed. They changed him up physically, and now a lot of people are like they can't imagine anybody else being Edward Cullen, that kind of thing. But I could imagine other people being Jenna and Eric. So The Perfect Find book, 5 stars, hands down. The Netflix movie, 3.5 for me, for me. I think I'm like thinking of like who would have, I would have liked to see in that role. But maybe somebody like Tika Sumpter and Stephen James or Stephen James. I don't know how he pronounces his name. I think he's already 30, but he has a youthful look, but it's more mature. Or even Tika and Kofi Siriboe. But yeah, I didn't buy Gabrielle and Keith. So if you have read The Perfect Find and you have watched the movie on Netflix, I'm wondering, how did it measure up for you? Let me know in the comments what you thought about the adaptation of the book. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like this video, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and take the opportunity to do so now. And for all of you who have already subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the real MVPs. Thanks again. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Bye. The story itself didn't spark these thoughts in my head, but since I saw the movie, I just started thinking about how society views age gap relationships. As far as, one partner being like, older than the other partner. Like, and I'm not talking like a year or a couple of years. I'm talking anywhere from 7 years and up, right? I heard on the news that both Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, who are like in their late 70s, early 80s, are both about to be fathers again. So just doing the math, even if they're with women that are 40 that are having a baby, because I don't know how old the women their partners are, but still that would mean that they're like old enough to be their partner's father. And I just wonder, it seems like in society, like when you have age gap relationships, and if the man is much older than the woman, it doesn't seem to be a big deal. Like, people don't bat an eye, especially if the woman is like, if we're talking about somebody that's 18 and the man is 40, then it's kind of like, okay, whoa, that's a kid. But same circumstance if the woman is, 35 and the guy is like 55, he's still 20 years older than her. But I guess we don't like think of her as being a kid, because she's not. I mean, she's a grown woman. But I don't know, it just seems like when the tables are turned and you see older women with younger men, like Cher, with her boyfriend, or Madonna, people, it just seems to be a different type of reaction from people. It's like people think that they're cradle robbers, or they're like, ew, that's gross, or this and that. And I'm wondering if it's because, as men get older, the words like distinguished and, handsome, or words like that, you see the men with the great beards, and they, evoke a certain kind of image in people's head. But with women, it's like, people throw around the words like they're not hot, they're not sexy. Like Don Lemon said in his video before he got fired, that, women past 40 or something they were past their prime if they were 40 and over. Yeah, so like, people think that as men age, their desirability goes up, and especially if they have money. But with women, ours goes down. And I don't know, like, I mean, I know where it stems from. It's just because we live in a society that everything is through the, male lens. And men for decades, if not centuries, have always set the standard for what beauty is, and a lot of times I think as women, sometimes we perpetuate that. And not only maybe the criticisms we hurl at other women, but how we view ourselves, But me personally, I'm 53 and I'm married. So number one, that is, one of the things why I wouldn't be with somebody younger. But even if I were single, I don't think I could do that. Like 5 years would be my max, because there comes this like this generation gap, this culture difference, when you're talking about somebody, that's 15, 20 years older than you, the relatability at some point that would become an issue. You know, there are certain things that people in my generation, Generation X, that if you say something or you give a certain look or you hear a certain song, it pretty much evokes the same response in us because we have that shared experience of being people who grew up during a certain time and, you know, went through certain similar things. And to have to maybe continually explain that to the point where it's diminished or lost in translation, you know, and I know that seems small, but you know, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. And I probably would be paranoid or worried about, you know, oh, my hair is graying or my body's wrinkling and we go out, people think I'm your aunt or some shit like that, and that's gonna make me mad. So fortunately I don't have to worry about that at this juncture because I am married. But obviously I'm not blind. I've seen men who are younger, who I thought, oh, he's a nice looking guy or he's attractive or whatever, but never to the point where I'm like, I would probably date that person or want to be with that person, you know? So I don't know. That's just my own bias, my own prejudice. More power to people who have those relationships with, you know, age gap differences that have made them work, because I mean, it's doable. It's not like something impossible. It's just a matter of finding common ground and, you know, loving each other to make it work. So my opinion doesn't mean anything at the end of the day.